my God, you look
Hello.
so great. I love the curls. I love how you styled yourself today.
Thank you.
Ha-
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. How are you know to be first and foremost, I would like to thank you and the entire Miss Nepal organization for allowing me to interview you at such a short notice. I've been wanting to interview since your crowning moment. Actually, even way before your first try in Miss Universe Nepal, but yeah, unfortunately, there wasn't time for me to do so. But now I'm glad, even if in the middle of your preparation, you still accommodated me for a short
Yes,
interview. Thank you so much.
of course, of course. I was really excited to talk to you as well. We've, like you mentioned, we've been, in contact for about a year now since my last journey, and I was like, oh, this is so exciting. Of course, I'd love to talk to him.
You know, guys, I've tuned into one of her live sessions with different guests depending on her topics. Like a year ago, after her crowning moment as first runner-up, and guys, she really is a strong speaker. Miss Universe Nepal is fielding another, not just only beautiful, but a strong speaker in the upcoming Miss Universe. Nepal is slowly really getting the winning formula.
Thank you. We're trying.
So how do you feel that you're just 1 week away from competing or arriving in your dream
I
competition?
know. It's only what 1 week exactly since I leave, and I'm so excited. At first, after the crowning, I was like, "Oh, everything's happening so fast. I feel like I'm not gonna be able to enjoy the moment because I'm gonna be so caught up." But actually, because everything's happening so fast, I feel like I'm really living in the moment and soaking everything in, and just like appreciating the journey. So I'm super excited and super thrilled for next Saturday. Yeah, 1 week from now.
You know what? It's interesting you said that you're feeling a bit cluttered, a bit uh, a deer caught in the headlights, considering that, considering given your stature as a pageant veteran, you still feel nervous, you still feel the same way.
Yeah, of course. I think with any competition, nervousness is it's part of it. Like if you're not nervous, I feel like you're almost too overconfident, or you're not going to give your best, because that nervousness almost brings that rush of the competition and trying to, like, do your best. So yeah, I always get nervous, like every time I speak on a live or go in front of a camera or walk in front of people, like that little sensation of nerves still kick in, and but I like it. That rush feels good.
Yeah. Will this be your first time to travel to Israel?
It is, and I'm super excited.
What have you researched about Israel that you are so looking forward to see right before your eyes?
Well, so recently we just visited the Israeli embassy here in Nepal, and we had a chance to speak to the ambassador himself and the team there, and they were just telling us about how beautiful every different city in Israel is. And the two places that I really, well, three places, because Eilat is where Miss Universe is happening. So I'm really excited to see the beaches and the atmosphere there. But I'm also really hoping to get a chance to go to Jerusalem and soak in some of the culture and tradition there, as well as Tel Aviv, because I heard it's super fun, and the nightlife
Really?
and the
Mhm.
shopping, the nightlife and everything there. Apparently, it's really nice. So really looking forward to getting three different experiences out of Israel, and I'm super excited.
I think you'll be able to do those things because I think because I did a little research once. Before you reach Iliad, you'll arrive first in Tel Aviv, and then you'll pass by Jerusalem to get to
Mhm.
Iliad.
Yep.
It's like a
And I'm
5 hour
so
ride from
thankful.
Tel Aviv.
Yeah, and I'm so thankful that Miss Universe is actually allowing us to travel to different places rather than staying in one, because it's going to, like, add more value to the experience. So I'm really looking forward to it. And, like, also reading up on all the things that is happening in Israel in terms of climate change too. I think it's incredible that the approach that Israel is taking is so unique from the rest of the world, because they're actually, and it's exciting for me because as a woman in technology, they're implementing a lot of tools and technology and leveraging that to actually bring like climate change, to bring more awareness to climate change. And so I'm really excited to learn more about that while I'm there, and just get an opportunity to soak in some of that information and bring it back to our country and the rest of the world as well. So really excited for that too.
Wow. I was about to ask those questions later in the interview, but I'm glad that you brought it up. It seems like you're so prepared about everything. I mean, I was just looking at one of your videos uploaded earlier where you were seen training with Mr. Smith. Is his name Mr. Smith, TMG? I think
Yes.
Is he training you for your pasarela? And wow, I like the
Yeah,
turns that I've been seeing. Like
he's so good, he's a dancer, so he comes from a dance background and he mostly teaches dance, but he's been training me on my walk and my expressions and my pose and my sass. And I look at him and I'm like, you are so like flowy when you walk, and I'm just like, teach me some of that. So he's been wonderful to work with.
So, apart, you're getting ready for, you're brushing up on a lot of topics for the upcoming pageant. And then you're also preparing, you're also, you're also practicing your pasarela for the upcoming pageant. I wonder, is there other aspect of the competition that you're also focusing right now?
Absolutely. So, the main focus for me, and this I've talked about this before too, has always been grooming. Hair and makeup are not my forte. Growing up, I never really wore makeup, and like even when I go to work and stuff, I put on very light makeup and I put my hair up in a bun. And so it's been really fun to learn how to do hair and makeup because it's such an art piece. It's such an artwork, And so I've been really focusing on grooming. And I've also been focusing on communication too, because, like as someone that comes from the technology field, sometimes we're taught to be very direct with our clients, less emotions, more surface level, more direct. And so pageantry, you want to be able to connect to people. And, that's something that I feel like I had difficulties with. Like, although I can speak, I feel like, the emotional connect sometimes was very difficult for me to externalize. And so I've really been working on that as well. And I feel like breaking the barrier of working and just being me has been such a journey. And so that's another thing that I've really been working on, is just not being that full woman in technology that's presenting to a client, but just being me.
Wow. Do you think now that you're bringing it up, do you really think technology can really solve our environmental problems in the world right now, like climate change? I know we've been talking about this ever since 20 years ago, when ever since I got into college, I've already been hearing about the issues about climate change and all the issues surrounding it. Yet until now, 20 years after, we still keep talking about it. I feel that nobody is really doing enough breakthrough among our world leaders right now when it comes to addressing this issue.
I completely agree with that. I don't think, year over year, we have these climate conferences, and we just finished one, and all these nations come together and make promises and talk about, in 10 years, we're going to accomplish this, and the next year, we're going to implement X, Y, and Z. But we don't see enough action. And I think that comes from the fact that there aren't enough consequences for people not taking those actions, right? Like when we talk about, other topics in the world, there are harsh consequences for not following through on implementation. But when it comes to climate change, we're not holding people accountable enough times. And so, I think technology can, I wouldn't say, I'm not sure that it would solve climate change, because at the rate that we're going, we're at a point of no return when it comes to climate change, right? So unless and until we reverse the effects of what we've already put out into the world, there's no way for us to go backwards. And so technology, I think, can be leveraged to accelerate the progress that we're trying to make, but I don't think it's going to solve climate change at all. And I think, I'm really excited to see what all Israel is doing in their country, because they really talk about using technology and tools to not only slow down climate
Yeah,
change, but also to reverse it, right? And when we
or
talk about
even reduce our
reversing,
carbon foot. I wish there is there is a technology invented where we could really reduce our carbon footprint without us really, really doing.
I also think, it's not our responsibility as individuals, no matter how much, let's say tomorrow, we all, like 10 of my friends and I, live a completely zero waste lifestyle. That's such a small impact in terms of the scale of what's happening in the world, right? And I think the biggest thing that corporations and organizations need to do is figure out ways to capture carbon that's already been emitted. Because if we think about, we're emitting our lifestyle at this point, the entire world has a lifestyle that's not going to stop emitting carbon, right? And so we
Yes.
need to think of ways to capture what's already been emitted. And there are tools and technologies that can be implemented in our construction of our buildings, constructions of our roads, that can actually
Yes.
suck back in the emission and actually capture it underground, or capture it in a space where it's not, adding on to what we're already emitting. And so, I think those are things that the world needs to think about. But again, like, these conversations aren't being prioritized. We talk about it during conferences, but how seriously are
Yes.
people actually taking it? Not really. And it sucks because we live our daily lives and we don't realize the impacts of it. But then a major event like a drought or a wildfire happens, or in my country, for instance, our Himalayas are melting and we see glacial flooding everywhere, and that's destroying communities of people. Then we realize, okay, the impact of climate change is real. So unless and until we have consequences for it and we actually, feel it, I don't think we're getting to a point where climate change is going to, reverse or slow down at all.
Yeah, you know what? To be fair, I mean, I agree with what you said that it's not enough that it's only us. It's only us ordinary people who should be walking the talk. I think we should also, hold more accountability with our world leaders. As I read up more about it, I don't know if you are aware with the latest environmental conference done by the UN recently. It's the COP26 summit. It's meant to address the growing problem of climate change, but unfortunately, you know, um, world leaders are talking about it, but apparently they haven't reached enough breakthrough or solution in addressing this problem. I mean, they were able to cite or shortlist what areas of the environment they need to tackle, but apparently it's not it's
It's
not
not enough.
enough to
It's not
really.
enough. And for me, when I think about those conferences, it's a great platform for communities and countries and leaders to come together and talk about these issues. But I also feel like most of those conferences are very politically driven, and so every country comes with an agenda of, rather than making climate change the main topic that everyone needs to be, focused on, it comes to a point of like which country is going to show off and say, okay, I'm doing the
Yes.
best. I'm doing the best. It's more of a political game than an actual game of like solving the problem at hand. And so, yes, it is very productive in a way, because we did, through the conference recently, they did come out with 100-point agreement, and there was actionable steps that countries agreed to, saying like by 2030 we're going to accomplish this, by 2050 we're going to accomplish this. But until and unless we actually make strict policies with fines or consequences that citizens of nations are actually going to follow through on, I don't think those policies are going to be anywhere. Like 2030 might come around, we might be at another conference, and the same discussions might be happening. So I think it's really time that nations start becoming very strict with what they demand from their citizens in terms of climate actions.
Yeah.
Action.
They
Yeah.
really
So
need, yeah, they really need to prioritize climate change action. But you know what? I realize now, this is my theory. The reason why I think this issue hasn't been solved is because if we really want to do something about this environmental problem and demand our world leaders to really do something about it, I think the world's economy will get hurt. I mean, imagine all these world leaders asking all these industrial companies to shut down their factories or even lessen their production, manufacturing production to probably half so that our ozone layer could at least breathe. Mother Earth could somehow breathe a little bit. But I don't think that our world leaders be would be willing to sacrifice something for for our economy, for the benefit of our environment. That's just my theory. I don't know if you will agree with me or not.
I completely agree
Hello.
with that too, you know, like
Yes, yes.
at the end of the day, whatever agenda is being driven, we have to think about climate change as affecting. So when we talk about basic human rights, right, we talk about access to water, access to food, access to education. And I think climate change has gotten to the point where it is hampering access to basic human rights. And I think, you know, rather than thinking of climate change as an issue that, and yeah, like there are companies that major contributors to the largest contributors to climate change are large corporations and large organizations and gas and oil companies, right? And so without them, yeah, like the economy is going to have an impact. But I think those companies also need to realize that if they don't implement something now, they may not exist in the future, you know, because they're also going to be impacted heavily by what's happening with the effects of climate change. And so I think everyone needs to start getting into this like mentality of like climate change is affecting access to our basic human rights. It's affecting access to our water. It's affecting access to food because it's like impacting agriculture around the world because now we're seeing droughts, we're seeing wildfires, we're seeing heavy rainfalls. That's wiping out the agriculture of a whole company. That means people aren't getting food. That means people aren't going to come to your factory or your company to work because they don't have access to basic human rights. And so, you know, I think everyone needs to start thinking more like high level and realize that the consequences are going to impact them. Right now, monetary wise, they may be making a lot of money out of this, but if tomorrow your half of your workforce is, you know, cut off because they don't have physical manpower to come to the office or come to work because they don't have food or water, then what good does that mean, you know? So I think everyone needs to think of this as like, you know, it's really impacting basic human rights, and it's sad. It's really sad and scary.
I hope we could find a middle ground about this in the near future. I mean, there ought to be a major breakthrough that really has to happen, you know, because otherwise we'll all get affected. My country will always be devastated by typhoons. I mean, annually, we we're the doormat of typhoons here in Asia. Our country is always visited by typhoons 20 times on an annual basis. So imagine if we won't be able to solve this problem. I mean, for Nepal, of course, there will be more deforestation happenings in your country as well, right? So yeah, there really has to. I mean, our world leaders need to act double time about this issue before it's really too late, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Anyway, so let's leave climate change now. So to focus more about you. You know, I'm really impressed reading your bio, to be honest. Yeah, you know, what is a biochemical engineering graduate like you doing in a pageant like Miss Universe?
You know, this is everything that I wanted. So as a biomedical engineering student, you know, I went into engineering because I wanted to. So growing up, I was raised by my grandmother, and I was always, my grandmother instilled this belief in me and this value in me that, you know, always do well, but do well with the intention of giving back to your community. And so I always wanted to find opportunities to give back. You know, I always volunteered a lot when I was younger, and I always wanted that one platform where I could make a larger impact than just the small amount of volunteering that I was doing. And so engineering was a way for me to, like, you know, bring all the innovative ideas that I had in my head and put it to work. And then now that I have those skill sets, I needed a platform to actually, like, you know, implement those ideas or those tools or technologies. And so, you know, pageantry was such a great opportunity because it taught me so much leadership skills that I was missing. Because as an engineering student, you're very introverted, you're very shy, And that's exactly how I was. You know, I hated public speaking. I like so was terrified of speaking in front of people. But pageantry pushes you to like step out of your comfort zone and be in front of people, talk about things you have no idea about, you know? And so that was such a great opportunity for me to like say, okay, engineering, pageantry, now I can be a full-on leader and actually like give back in a bigger and larger way. And so it all made sense. And also, you know, I always was interested in like knowing how to do makeup and walking on the runway. Like I love that. And I was like, you know, this what better than that?
I can relate with. I mean, I can feel why you're feeling that way because you know, probably this is just my opinion. Since you're an engineering student, you must be surrounded by a lot of guys because engineering is really a male-dominated course. And for sure, when you're studying and when you're doing all your engineering work, you know, you're not. It's not glitzy and glam. I mean, you know, of course, you're a girl. You would always want for you know once in a while get glammed up, but you know while you're studying and doing all your work as an engineering student, of course you do all the dirty work, and sometimes it doesn't feel girly anymore for someone like you who you know who really likes to do those stuff once in a while,
Yeah,
right? So you
exactly.
know, but you know more than the platform that you want for this, I really admire your tenacity and determination to succeed in order to reach Miss Universe Nepal. And now, finally, your dream competition in Miss Universe. So, apart from the platform, what attracts women like you to join Miss Universe?
So, you know, Miss Universe has, I've been following Miss Universe for a very long time. And, you know, I've really, I'll be honest, you know, the Miss Universe that was the organization 5, 10 years ago is not the same anymore. And I really admire how the Miss Universe platform has progressed and evolved with times. And I think that's such a beautiful thing because it shows the evolution of women as well, right? Like today, the Miss Universe platform is about women leadership and it's about women voices, empowering women. And I love that because, you know, why not? Like, I can walk on stage in a swimsuit and flaunt my body, and I can still give you a great speech about climate change. And that to me is a full package woman leader is, you know, I can be beautiful, I can be sexy, and I can also be smart. And I think Miss Universe really empowers women to be that. And that's what attracted me to Miss Universe, you know. And ever since that change in the organization, I was like, that's where I want to be. That's you know, that's the platform for me.
Yes, because way before you know you really got interested to join Miss Universe. I've been reading about so much about you. You founded your own advocacy called
Yes.
Liberated Scholarship Program. Actually, there's also another one, Beauty Without Limit, but for the purpose of for your candidacy in Miss Universe, I think you're focusing on Liberated Scholarship Program. I mean, you've been doing it way before you joined Miss Universe, so I could really tell you that your advocacy is really genuine. So, can you tell us more about it and what made you decide to take up this advocacy? Does this come from personal experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So as a young girl, I was raised by a single mother, and you know, being financially stable was the biggest struggle of my entire childhood. You know, my mom worked multiple jobs, and I barely got to spend time with her because she was always working. And seeing that, you know, I always wanted to grow up to be in a field or have a career that would help financially sustain my family and help alleviate all the struggles that my mom was going through. And so I chose to go get a college degree and go into the field of engineering. And then now I'm working as a technology consultant where, you know, not only am I living my passion, but I get paid really well as well, you know, and I'm able to use that because I'm financially stable and financially independent. I have the liberty to pursue my passion like pageantry or, you know, other things in life. And so, you know, I think financial stability is so important, but at the same time, education can really like empower financial stability too. And so the idea of liberated is finding financial freedom through education. And so the ED in liberated is capitalized because it stands
Yes.
for education, and liberated of course means finding freedom, right? And so the project is we're focused on one individual. We don't target the scholarship to multiple individuals at once because we really believe that in order to create true leaders, you need to invest in one person at a time and really give them the value that they deserve. And so we have one scholar that is from a very disadvantaged background in Nepal, and she's an advocate in herself. She just never had the platform to further her career or her advocacy, but we enabled her with a college degree and a job, and now she's going back into her community, not only working as a nurse, but she's actually advocating on behalf of other girls that come from similar backgrounds as herself. And so, you know, there's of course future plans as well to send her to international conferences to talk about the state of women from rural areas in Nepal. But for now, you know, our main focus was to make sure she had a college degree and a job opportunity so she could be financially free and then support her family as well as her entire community. And so Liberated pretty much stands for finding financial freedom through education.
That's great. That's great to hear. But how do you feel that, you know, given that we are still in a pandemic situation right now, a lot of children are forced to stop schooling because of that and are being pushed into exploitative and dangerous child labor?
So yeah, I mean, you know, so in Nepal especially, you know, throughout our country, we see this very often. Exploitation for young children is very common, especially in rural areas of the world, and especially during COVID-19. We've seen that a lot of kids, because of COVID-19, their parents aren't
Yeah.
able to work, right? Their parents aren't able to go into the workforce. And there's not enough opportunities for them to actually bring back money to support the family. And so kids are being sold off into slavery and sold off into doing work that is not humane. And that I think is very, very hurtful. And I don't think it's only COVID-19, but also going back to climate change, right? The impacts of climate change have also caused more kids to go into the workforce at an early age and not pursue an education. And I think this is a big, big problem that we as a nation need to also, like, we as a world need to be aware of. So, you know, it's really sad, but stripping away education from a child is always going to put them in this cycle of poverty, in this cycle
Yes.
of exploitation. And
Yes.
without that education, they're not going to be able to make the right decisions to take care of their health, take care of their financial problems at home, or take care of their own, like, you know, personal decisions. And so it's such a shame
I
that our
know.
world goes through that.
So, based on your answer, how do you think we can encourage these children to go back to schooling or prioritize their education?
You know, I don't think we need to put it on the children to do that because the children are victims of exploitation, right? And if you ask them, of course, if given the opportunity, they would want to not live a life like that, and nobody would want to live like that. I think it's more on the government and our countries and our world in general to prioritize children and the vulnerable group, because the people that are the most vulnerable aren't going to know any better than the situation that they're in, and for them, they're so captured that they're not even going to know how to get out of that situation. So I think communities need to do a better job of holding people accountable, of, you know, having stricter enforcements and regulations and monitoring communities so that this doesn't happen. So I think, you know, it's not on the children, but it's on communities, families, and the government to actually take care of these vulnerable populations.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So, is that one way for the government to somehow make education systems more inclusive and equitable for everyone?
I think so. I think education definitely needs to be more equal and equitable. I think education is also, we think of education in a very streamlined way, right? But I think education needs to be catered to different communities. Like, I don't believe that education is a one size fit all. You know, I don't think the education that I required to be able to progress in a city is the same education that someone from a rural community needs or wants. Because at the end of the day, we have to also think realistically. A child born in a rural community may never leave that rural area. So what type of education do they need to be able to flourish in their community, right? they may not need to know algebra and calculus. What are they ever going to do with algebra and calculus in their rural community, right? But they need to be able to make decisions around like finances, about farming, about agriculture, about whatever it is that's relevant to their community. So I think education really needs to, we need to break out of this thought that education is a one size fit all, and we really need to do more of a better job of like building grassroots level education systems. So I think that that's honestly my opinion on that.
All right. So, yeah. But you know what? I would really love to talk more about your advocacy, but I think we're pressed for time. So I'll just be asking you a few light questions after this. Ever since this conversation, this interview began, all your followers have been asking. I've been noticing
Oh
that most of your
no.
followers are interested to know about your gown design, the color of
I
your
think the connection
evening
is,
gown for your upcoming Miss Universe. There's even a debate whether you're supposed to wear gold or silver encrusted gowns to make you a standout in the competition. So how do you feel that a lot of your fans are really passionate about what you're gonna show in the upcoming pageant?
yeah, no, I think, like I said, I'm very excited to show off what I'm going to be wearing. It's going to be different. And, our team is doing a great job with the limited time that we had this year for preparations. But despite, I think, we're going to rock the universe stage. And I'm just really excited to be walking on that stage. So just stay tuned. It's going to be a great surprise for everyone.
All right, Nepali fans, you heard her. You just have to wait. Be patient. Same with us here in the Philippines. We also have to wait for the big reveal of our candidate come prelims and finals time. So I wonder, have you also been seeking the advice of Anshika or even what's her name? The one who represented Nepal in 2018. I just forgot her name. But yeah, have you been if you have been seeking their advice, what have they been telling to you that you are taking to heart for the upcoming competition?
Absolutely. So, Anshika's actually back in the States now. So she traveled back, but the 2 weeks that I had with her, I would always constantly message her and like ask her for advice and, just like soak in as much from her experience as I could. But she helped me a lot with grooming. She's given me so many tips and tricks about how to be well groomed, what to do with my hair, what to do with my makeup, and also she gave me a little bit of insight on like what it's like during pageant week. Like all the ups and downs, things to expect, some tricks and tips to like, maneuver through the competition. And so, Anshika has been such a great help, and she's been such a great like sash sister. And I'm so sad she's not here right now, but I'm really
Yes,
excited for her.
but is she going to travel to Israel just to watch you, or even Miss Nagma, or the
Yeah,
entire
so
MUP and MUN organization?
yep. So Nagma Di will be going. She'll be traveling to Israel as well. Anshika, unfortunately, not. It's also very tricky for a lot of us to go there because of the limited number of tickets and all of that. So yeah, like Nagma Di will definitely be there, and she's very excited as well. But unfortunately, Anshika is off to new adventures.
All right. So as my last question, given everything that you've said during this interview, what do you hope to achieve with your candidacy in the forthcoming Miss Universe?
The biggest thing that I hope to accomplish during this candidacy, of course, I would love to bring the crown home. But beyond that, whether I bring the crown home or not, I think the biggest thing I want people to realize is how, like we talked about earlier, women in pageantry have evolved. It's no longer just about beautiful face, but it's about being a strong leader. And I really hope to showcase that during my time at Miss Universe and have the opportunity to meet other leaders as well. So I think we need to break through this mindset that beauty queens are just there to walk on stage, because that's all people see, right? Just the production side of it. But it's
Yes.
way more than that. And I want to like really, really promote that and showcase that.
I love your tenacity when you said that, of course, I would like to bring home the crown to my country. So what does it mean for you to win the Miss Universe crown?
it honestly means everything. This is something that I've been working for 10 years towards, 10 years on and off. But for me, my country, I see my country as a small country with a big heart. And, a big heart that has yet to be, the potential of our country hasn't been realized by the world. And I think it's time that we put Nepal on the map because we have so much to offer to the world. And it has not even, people haven't even touched the surface of what we have to offer. And so I really hope that this year people see that, last year they saw it with Anshika, and this year I hope to continue her legacy and show that we have a lot to give. We're a power-packed country and we are not going to back down.
True. You know what? A lot of fans have been commenting. You could be the next Miss Universe. You really deserve to be the next Miss Universe. I can already imagine Steve Harvey announcing Nepal. Just wow, next Miss Universe, of course. So yes, I can't wait for you to do all these amazing things that you have prepared for us in the upcoming competition. As one last request, can you um shout your name and your country just so for video editing, Sujita Basnet 28.
Yes.
Hello?
Okay, of course. I was hoping you would ask me that because I haven't had a chance to do that yet. All right, ready? So, Sujita Basnet, 28, Nepal.
Woo! And then I'm imagining you wearing your national costume. Oh my God, that will be
It's
amazing.
going to be so
I mean, your fans
exciting.
are also. Yeah, really? Really? Is it
I'm
something
really,
that we should watch out for very, very soon?
yes, you should.
All right. Anyway, thank you so much, Sujita. I really had fun talking to you, even if it's only for a short time. I wish I could talk to you longer, but I know you're pressed for time. You'll be having a lot of things to do in the next few hours. Thank you so much, and I hope that you will be able to bring back Nepal to the semifinals again. I mean, for sure, you'll kill the preliminary interview, and judging how Mr. Smith has been training your pasarela, for sure you'll make an impressive turn come swimsuit and evening gown presentation. I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm hoping that you will be styled well, just like
Yeah.
Anshika last time. But you know what? It's a good thing that I remember you watched Anshika in Florida, right? So I'm glad that you went there. So at least you were able to observe how things are really, are being done there. So by the time you go on your own, at least you know now what to expect. Okay, this is
Exactly.
what Anshika did. So yeah, I'm glad that you did that for your experience. See, this is
Yeah,
what I like about girls like Sujita. She's already envisioning without her really doing it. She's really doing things that are making her that are making her closer or nearer to her dream. She just thought of watching Anshika to support her in Florida, but look, it is serving her in good stead, as now she's benefiting from that experience that she had with Anshika in Florida. So you guys, Nepal, you really have a go-getter. You really have a winner in Sujita right now. Thank you so much, Miss Universe Nepal organization, for making this interview possible within such short notice. Thank you, Sujita, again. And I can't wait for you to slay it in the upcoming Miss Universe. Mwah.
thank you. Thank you so much. I had so much fun. It was so wonderful finally getting a chance to talk to you. And please do continue to support the journey. And everyone that's on today, please do continue to vote as the voting polls are open and live right now. And do follow the journey as we go straight to Israel and hopefully bring the crown home.
And before we go, may I just say, did you style yourself today for this interview?
Yes, a
Did
little
you do,
bit.
did you do this by yourself?
So I was actually in my makeup and hair classes, and so this was one of the looks that we practiced today.
Keep that look for Miss Universe. It suits you. Good.
Thank you.
I hope yeah, just so you know that.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right. Thank you so much. Virtual hugs and kisses all the way here from Manila, Philippines. Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Good luck.